We drink tequila. We talk.
Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
It is warm today. A warm fall day.
It is,
We've got another heat front here.
86 degrees in LA today. I think 90 yesterday.
Okay. Well, tasty. I jumped the gun and drank it before I cheers. Cheers.
Oh, damn it. Me too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody, welcome to Team Tequila Talks. Your host, Cassandra Jeanmel and Cherion Gonzalez.
Hello.
We have a guest joining us momentarily. She's pretty fun. We like her.
Yeah.
We just recently did an episode about all things fall. And now that we're like kicking off to the holiday season, we really wanted to lean in. So we did another fall cocktail. But this is more like a holiday cocktail. I would drink this at Christmas.
This is giving me more than just fall. It's giving me warm cozies. I think maybe because the apple cider vinegar is in there. I don't know. But it is warming me up a bit.
Oh, smells good, which we actually don't need yet here.
Which we're in a hot room.
This room is 77 degrees.
We're in a hot room.
We start glistening, for those of you watching.
Look, I usually put a little gold in my makeup, but shit.
Yeah, well, a little cinnamon.
The cinnamon stick is very fragrant.
Very fragrant.
I love it.
Okay. Well,
what are we calling this puppy? This is called a what?
I think it's just an apple cider vinegar margarita.
ACV Marg?
Yeah.
An ACV Marg.
Or an apple cider marg.
Apple cider Marg.
Yeah. Apple cider marg.
I think people hear vinegar and probably get freaked out.
I know. And that's just, it shouldn't be that way.
No.
Hello. Our guest, Alison Luff.
Matthew doesn't like me wearing these.
Because of the EMF radiation.
EMF, yeah.
I don't like them either. I actually just bought a converter because I get on the plane the other day and I forget where we were flying. We were flying to Texas or back from Texas. And I have really been reading a lot about the EMF frequencies and about how bad wireless headphones are compared to the old school wired headphones. So I always keep a pair of regular old school kind of like
with
iPod headphones.
Yeah,
in my bag, because you also never know when your AirPods are gonna die, and you just like, or those also still plug into the airplane seats if you just like want to watch a movie on the airplane, whatever. So I have those in my bag, and I go to plug it into my iPad, and I go, shit, they changed the charging port on the iPad, and now it's the USB-C, and they took away the headphone port. So you have to use wireless, or you have to have that adapter. So thanks, Apple. They took my $9, and I ordered an adapter for the USB-C because I'm actually with them on this. There's no way that it can't affect something up here if you are using them long term. I'm talking about like every day. I think if you use them occasionally, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a law about EMFs in federal, and they are not
anything
supposed,
that's regulated.
I know, but you have a Tesla, and you're living inside of a computer, and these little buds are not emitting more EMFs than your Tesla.
Right, but if it's one less thing, frankly, I have never fully gotten on the AirPod train in the first place. On a long haul international flight, one of mine fell off in between the seat and the crack, and the whole crew, we had to wait for everyone to get off the plane, and the whole crew, like the maintenance crew had to come and undo the seat to get me back my stupid AirPod. And I would have just been like, let's just buy some more. But this was during the pandemic, and everything in the airport was closed. Everything was closed. Yeah. So there was no retail. There was no option to source new headphones.
Right. Well, I think Apple banks. My husband's on, I think it's like iPod. I see his earbud 7s. He's bought in 7 of them because he loses them in cabs. He loses them.
Yeah. My husband's on 10, I think.
And I think that's baked into kind of the Apple model. Like, people will lose one and come back and buy another one. So they actually build that in.
See if they're wired, they're hooked.
I think that's why. That's my conspiracy, is they made them wireless so that way they can just, every person needs 3.
Have you guys seen the AirPod? They're almost like, oh God, those floaty things that you wear on sunglasses on a boat, right? Or at a water park. Yeah. They connect the back of your AirPods around the back of your neck.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. We've come full circle here.
Yeah.
We've come full circle. What's wrong with the wired?
They always fall out of my ears. I don't
They
really
always
wear
fall
mine.
out. I don't think they fit my ears.
They don't fit my ears.
They're
not comfy.
They're not loud enough, I don't think either.
No.
Like, maybe I've just, I don't know.
I don't know. They get earwax in them if you haven't waxed your ears.
It's kind of gross. You got to clean it. Then you got to
it
like
out.
a toothpick and a Q-tip.
I know. And it's just
That
not.
sounds satisfying.
I feel like Apple has stolen all of our money. and they've made life more difficult with all the different connecting ending
and changing the
and
ports.
changing
yeah,
the ports.
they call it cutting edge. And now you buy a phone or an iPad and they don't include a charger.
No,
that's a separate thing, except for they changed the chargers because they say it's because of plastic and extra waste. And it's like, wait, but we still have to buy them anyway. So
we still need them. And we're still going to get them at like the bodega for $5. And then they're going to break even sooner than the ones you get from Apple.
Right.
So then you're going to use even more plastic.
Right.
I remember they gave us these before Heelz season 1 press, before all the press, because they wanted us to use them for press.
And it was all
and of
Zoom.
course, I didn't use them. I don't think I used anything, and it worked out. And I gave them away. And so then I realized today I needed some, and I borrowed some from a friend, which is why I have them in my ears. My first time using them ever. I feel like kind of like a little alien. They could make them cuter, like gold or
Yeah, we're kind of popping your earbud cherry. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, you're popping my earbud cherry.
Well, on that
here
note,
for it.
are some of our listeners, at least anyway, / viewers, whatever, YouTube, whatever your preferred medium of joining us here on Team Tequila Talks is, might know Alison from Heelz on STARZ. So we should actually kind of share a husband.
Yeah.
At least in some capacity.
Yeah,
Very weird. Very weird.
Allison is Jack Spade's wife on Heelz, Stacey Spade, and that's how I know her. But she originally comes to us from the Broadway world.
Ooh, we love a Broadway.
You have a long and storied history on Broadway, I would say. What are you drinking, Allison?
Okay, so my morning got a little away from me, and I was supposed to go to the gym this morning, and it didn't happen. I was supposed to run all these errands this morning. So I was like, I can't drink tequila before I'm going to the gym right after this and training with Matthew, and I can't drink tequila. So I'm drinking chlorophyll, a little chlorophyll cocktail.
Okay. We actually support that.
We
do. We love chlorophyll. We love mocktails. It is all about balance. And so we just had an episode about kind of replacing the ritual of drinking, but not actually having alcohol.
Right.
With it, you gotta live with where you're at in the day.
And I just want a disclaimer: you can totally have one glass of tequila and go work out. It actually it primes, it gets you a little heated. You're kind of a lot looser. You hang in planks longer. You think energizes. Because I've left the podcast and gone home and worked out before, and it's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
I believe it, but I believe it would make me looser. Period. And I'm going with my husband.
That music that works.
I was like,
that workout music will come on, and you'll just like get that heart rate up, get that cardio.
That's true.
Totally can.
Well, also we are drinking over here. We actually got our workout in this morning, and I feel like we're 3 hours behind you. So I think technically that makes us ahead.
You're winning.
We are ahead.
We're ahead.
We're behind, but ahead.
You're winning.
So we are drinking an apple cider vinegar margarita. So we got this idea we're very into the holiday thing right now. And holiday cocktails, and we kind of kicked off spooky season with a Halloween margarita, and we did a fall margarita at the beginning of fall and everything. And this one kind of is going to carry us. I would say that this is Thanksgiving or Christmas appropriate. And we took an apple cider margarita, which is super easy to make, but we wanted to add the benefits of apple cider vinegar. So we used the Bragg's apple cider vinegar refreshers.
Yeah, with prebiotics.
Well, apple cider vinegar has naturally occurring pre and probiotics, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen these, but they are that old school Bragg's apple cider vinegar. It's in like almost everybody's pantry, and they make this. It's not a cocktail. It's called a refresher. It's a
drink.
It's a beverage.
It's a beverage.
Yeah, they're in like the little glass bottles, and they have like several different flavors too.
Yep. We got the apple cinnamon.
Yeah, and the reason that this really jumped out at me, so it has apple cider vinegar in it, but it is also in a natural apple cider base, and it's organic, and it's sweetened with monk fruit and stevia, which is right up our alley. Because we're only looking at 5 grams total sugar, but it is still matching that taste of a traditional apple cider because it is sweetened with that organic stevia and organic monk fruit.
So you get that sweetness you crave when you have a little cocktail, but we don't like to add sugars where they are not necessary in our diets.
That's when it's going to mess up your workout after. It's not the tequila, it's all the junk with the tequila.
Exactly. That will mess you up. And apple cider vinegar is like our little Mighty Mouse in this drink. So, detox to retox type of deal. So it aids in weight loss, reducing cholesterol, lowering blood sugars, improves the symptoms of diabetes. It's made in, you know, the kombucha land of life is kind of where apple cider kind of lives because it is fermented. And it basically, they crush apples to yeast. It exposes crushed apples to yeast, which ferments the sugars and turns them into alcohol.
Allison, do you know the difference between apple juice and apple cider? Pop quiz.
Is apple cider, is it boiled apples, cooked apples, and apple juice is raw apples? I don't know.
So no, well, it all comes from apples, but apple juicing is like when, you know, you go to a juicery or smoothie bar and or wherever, and they juice it in front of you. They just put the whole fruit in the machine and they do the thing and it goes, and then the juice comes out in it. That's apple juice. It's just the water and sugars that come out of the apple. Whereas apple cider, they take whole apples and basically just let them, they add some sugar and let them sit and they ferment. So that's why apple cider vinegar has the mother, which is where all of these benefits come from. So it's like substance. The cloudy, chunky stuff that you see, but that's the good stuff.
We love the mother.
I love the name of it. I love the name that it's called mother. So mother is basically strands of proteins, enzymes, and friendly bacteria that give it that weird appearance.
Yeah, and that's what helps your gut. That's what helps your immune system. That's what helps anything that you have to do with like stomach issues or even, you know, diabetes. You mentioned the blood sugar. All of this stuff is coming from the mother. So where you get, basically it goes from apple and it ferments with sugar and then it becomes an alcohol. And then they take it the next step and it becomes a vinegar. Now that's any vinegar, right? Like even balsamic vinegar, it's just the same thing with grapes.
Yes.
But you take that vinegar and then you add sugar back into it, or in this case, monk fruit and stevia. And that is what adds that sweetness. So anytime you're getting and like if you can get an unpasteurized organic raw apple cider from a local place, which I'm sure you can get that more easily in New York than we can in LA. It's not a big thing here.
Farmers markets.
But apples aren't a thing. It's hard to get apples locally because of the climate in California.
We're oranges. We are strictly orange state.
Yeah. Well, we got those here too.
And wine. But Hippocrates, he who is the father of modern science, used to use this 2,000 years ago to clean wounds. Apple cider vinegar. Yeah. To clean out bacteria because the antioxidant antimicrobial. Is that right? Microbial.
Yeah, antimicrobial.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So we're healing the gut from the inside out.
Yeah. Do you work in apple cider vinegar to your daily diet?
Yeah, I love apple cider vinegar. I used to do a shot, but I feel like it's not great for my teeth. I also feel like
it'll wreck your enamel.
Yeah, I used to gargle. Sometimes I would, if I was in a show and I was singing a lot, I would like gargle with it. Now I'm loving just putting like a tablespoon in 8 ounces of water and drinking it. But Matthew will like take a shot, and it's just a little much for me.
So what, you gargle with it? Why?
Well, sometimes if I was in a show, I would gargle with it. I felt like it cleared the phlegm and just
and killed anything.
You know, I would still drink it, but I would also like I'll put it in tea. I'll put it in everything. I'll heat it up with tea and lemon and, you know, water and
See, I love vinegar, and I am the type of person that says food is just a vessel for sauce. I love sauce. Oh, yeah. I love vinegar. Anytime I get a salad, I ask for not an extra, sometimes an extra side of dressing, but usually an extra side of just the vinegar portion. I want it to be super acidic. I love vinegar. So I always loved taking just a shot, or usually just like a teaspoon or two, not like a whole shot, but of apple cider vinegar by itself. But then I went to the dentist and he's like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Your enamel is like, is disappearing.
You're
like the photo of Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
I'm being healthy, doctor.
Being phased out. The proper way to take it is mixed with like coconut water or putting it in a different beverage. Enter the Bragg's Refresher. Do we have it right there? Is it right there?
Let's see. My girlfriend's Japanese. And she puts apples. So when she makes her sushi rice, which sushi rice has vinegar in it, she, once it's done, boiled, like cooked, she does a tablespoon per cup of, because you need the vinegar.
Instead of rice vinegar, you do
like
apple cider.
She does apple cider vinegar, and she kind of whips it up and then puts it in the fridge for whatever. And then we make our sushi like that, and it just gives it.
It's probably delicious.
The best. I'm a vinegar girl, but and it's like dumped on there, heated up, and then it gets cold. Ooh, it's so good.
Well, Allison and I bonded a bunch in Atlanta when I was there over tequila. Obviously. But B, also...
Your margaritas specifically. Not just tequila. Your margaritas opened a whole new world to me.
What did you do? Did you do the
all different kinds.
green margaritas?
Kinds.
We do everything.
I didn't get a green one, but I got like it was just raspberries or strawberries.
I think I gave you a mixed berry. I feel like I gave you like a strawberry basil, something like that. Yeah.
Just something bougie and lovely and simple.
It is hot in the summer. It is so cold in the winter.
That's why I can't live in those states, guys. Can't do those states at
so
all.
I was colder in Atlanta in January, and I guess that would have been 2021. And I was colder there. And at that time, I was still going back and forth between Atlanta and Santa Fe. Mm-hmm. And Santa Fe is like higher than Denver, and it is freezing, and it is 25 degrees, and it just chills you to the bone. But Atlanta, I don't know why it feels colder. I don't know if it's the humidity or if you just feel like it shouldn't be cold because it's the South and it's Atlanta. It is cold.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like, and you're not equipped for it, because I always felt like it would get cold in Texas in the winter, and then you move to New York and you have the right clothes when you're living in New York. You know, you have everything you need. In the South, I feel like it's cold, and then they're still pumping the air conditioning when you go in someplace, so you can't even warm up.
That's totally true. That's totally true.
I don't know. The South, I wouldn't say the South is a place I think, cold. I think of like Michigan. I think of like that area.
Atlanta was in January when we were there. It was low. It got down to the low 20s.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and I just didn't really know what to do with myself.
This is why my problem with snowy states, and I love everyone who lives in a snowy state. I think you're great, but this is why I won't live in a snowy state.
Good disclaimer.
I won't live in a snowy state because I like to work out year round. If it's packed with snow and you got to ice skate to the freaking gym, people are always like, people in California don't ever gain a winter 20. It's like, no, because
we're moving.
We go drive the gym. I don't want to live anywhere where I'm like ice skating to a Pilates class. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to leave in my house. So I understand, but I also don't think if you're single, you get hit on that often in the winter. I think it's called, what is it called? Cuffing season in New York is now, where everyone who is single starts to date now so they can have a winter bay.
So you're saying that cuffing is like,
it's just
you're going to enter into a seasonal relationship, not because you see a long-term future with this person, but just
winter's coming.
You don't want to have to go out and find some booty in the dead of winter.
Because you're
you
not
would like it available in your bed, ready to go.
That's exactly what cuffing season. We're married, but I know single people. I don't live in a jail of marriage.
That's true.
Yeah, but I do love... I love going to hot yoga when it's cold, because then you get in there and you're just already sweating, you're already warm. And I love a sauna. I will sit in the sauna so much longer, in the steam room so much longer in the winter than I will in the summer.
That's true.
Those are the pros. Like at the gym, I will like stay in that sauna or stay in the steam room for another like hour. But then you've made a spa day. You've also made a spa day of your gym day, and you've taken up another hour of your time.
I love, when we lived in Canada, I love the steam room and the sauna after I worked out when it was freezing cold. I agree with you. I don't know, something about winters, I am allergic to snow and all that stuff.
I feel like I did the same thing. I didn't do hot yoga because I've talked about this before. I don't like to be hot because the thermometer's not working properly. I like to be sweating because I'm working hard. So you guys are on the same team here.
I like both.
I love a nice 76 degree workout environment. We're not even getting that right now in this room.
I know. I was overserved last night, so I need a sauna room.
You should have seen me texting Sherry last night. Hey girl, we need apple cider and apple cider vinegar. And she didn't understand that these were two different things. And I text her like 6 or 7 times. She's like, yeah, I got the apple cider vinegar. And I go, yeah, but do you have the apple cider? And she's like, yeah, I got the vinegar. And I go, but do you have the apple cider, like juice? And she's like, yeah, it's a liquid. And I'm like, oh my God, did you have some cocktails, Sherry? I don't think you're getting it. And she goes, no, I'll get the apple cider and cinnamon sticks. And then she sends me a video from the grocery store at like midnight. And she has gone out to get these things. And she comes back home and she's like, I got this. And I go, Sherry, is that beet juice? And she's like, yeah, but it's pretty good. And I'm like, I don't think you got it. I don't think you understood.
It was like beet, apple, cinnamon juice. And Cassandra was like, mind you, I wake up this morning and I'm like reading the text.
Could be delicious.
I said it could possibly be very tasty, and beet, the benefits of beet is, and Cassandra hates beet.
I hate it. It tastes like dirt.
Oh, I love beets.
No,
I love
beets. I got a no-fly zone. It's like beets, olives.
Yeah, you hate olives.
Yeah, I can't touch anything.
I love olives. I just made, so the Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde situation, whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but her salad dressing that apparently made Jason Sudeikis lay under her car and not let her leave.
It was the salad dressing, was it her lady bitch? She
made a salad dressing for Harry Styles, whatever, and this is what caused them friction. Either way, we don't care about that. What we care about is I saw this salad dressing on my computer, and I was like, I'm making this salad dressing. Best salad dressing ever in life. And it has feta cheese, which you're going to love, Allison. Feta cheese, olives, apple cider vinegar.
Sheep's feta, right? Are we going non-dairy feta?
No,
we're going sheep feta.
Always sheep's feta.
Always.
Sheep's feta, olives, apple cider vinegar, Dijon mustard, olive oil, and as much garlic that you can stand blended. It is so good. I'll do
it without the olives.
You'll do it without the olives.
I'll double the vinegar. I'll take out the olives. I'll double the vinegar.
And you'll be totally, it's the most delicious.
I love it. And we're going to refill. I like the garnish. So we actually didn't even get into the ratios of what we used here.
There we go.
So we did about 1.5 ounces of tequila. We did 3 ounces of this apple cider with apple cider vinegar situation, which if you can't find this particularly at home, you can get just natural, organic, the cleanest version of apple cider. Like, you don't want a bunch of extra sugar dumped into there. It's going to be at your Trader Joe's or at your I feel like any grocery store is going to have a decent version.
Everywhere.
Well, okay. But if you can't find this particularly, you can get apple cider and also apple cider vinegar. And what you're going to do is do about 2.5 to 2 3/4 ounces apple cider, and then just kind of top it off with the apple cider vinegar. We used a little bit of Cointreau, but you can also use triple sec or Patron citronage or your orange liqueur of choice. I think we actually halved what was recommended, and we added the vinegar aspect. We took a standard apple cider margarita. We decided we wanted to incorporate the health benefits of apple cider vinegar. We cut down a little on the triple sec to cut down on the sweetness. We did not add sugar in this at all. We have a little stevia, cinnamon, and sea salt rim, which I must say is lovely. And then we put a couple of fresh apples, mostly for garnish, but I don't mind them just floating around in there. I think it's giving it a little fresh apple flavor.
I love an apple anything. I'm an apple pie girl.
Can you drink through this cinnamon straw?
Let's see if we can drink through the cinnamon straw.
Oh, classic. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, you can.
Changes the flavor a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So apple cider vinegar, big win all around. Metabolism, blood sugar, all that stuff. Amazing cocktail. We're going to post it.
What if you sweeten that with a little maple syrup?
Maple syrup is going to be better than actual
white sugar.
Yeah.
It's lower glycemic.
We don't actually keep simple syrup in our bar at all. Never. So we use agave, we use maple, we use honey. That's generally it. We also will use stevia and monk fruit if we're looking for a granulated version. But if we're dealing with cocktails, we find that any type of liquid version of sugar, there is liquid stevia, but you got to be careful with that because sometimes they add funky flavors.
Like natural flavors.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to try to avoid that. But depending on where you're shopping, sometimes you can find just a pure liquid stevia. Unflavored, which is great. But when you're shaking a cocktail, you're stirring a cocktail, you're mixing a cocktail, it's always going to be better with a liquid sweetener. And that's going to be either a liquid stevia or a maple syrup or agave or honey. I find honey is easier to work with if you warm it up because it's so thick. It's hard to really, really mix into a cocktail. I think that's why it's not used as much in cocktails because it's just harder to work with.
It is.
But honey, maple syrup, and agave are all going to be natural.
Yeah.
And they are all going to have a lower GI index than any type of brown sugar or liquid syrup or table sugar, cane sugar, sugar. Even sugar in the raw is still not really great. It just means it's not bleached, but it's still heavily processed.
Yeah, and I think maple would be nice in here. It would actually
I thought
make
that would
it
be yummy.
More fall-y.
So I read somewhere when we were looking into the apple cider vinegar of it all, something about like it helps a ton with blood sugar, which we knew, but it said something about the blood sugar spiking after eating. A small study suggests that vinegar may improve insulin sensitivity by 19 to 34% during a high carb meal, which is a lot. In a small study, apple cider vinegar reduced blood sugar by 31.4% after eating 50 grams of white bread.
Wow.
So if you really feel like you want to eat a sandwich, take a little shot of apple cider vinegar with it, and it'll stop that white bread blood sugar spike, because white bread's like in the 90s on the GI index.
I mean,
it's high.
It is, unless it's old world bread, like when you go to like France or, over there, because I can eat a baguette every day over there and I won't gain a pound.
It doesn't mess with your blood sugar. But it's still white bread. It's about your blood sugar, not necessarily the weight gain.
I know, but I feel like when you eat bread here, it's like if I ate bread as much as I do when I'm traveling, I would get puffy. Yeah, I would swell up like my water or something, and my body retains water.
Well, I think that we're talking about Thanksgiving nutrition, or we're about to, or not Thanksgiving nutrition, like Thanksgiving meals and foods and stuff.
Well, holiday swaps.
Yeah. But I think if you can't make a swap and you really want that crescent roll. That was always a thing in my family. Those things that you went whack and you roll them up and stick them in the oven. And we don't do this anymore. But that was a big thing growing up. But if you're going to eat white bread and you know that it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you know that you're going to be eating this, just take a shot of apple cider vinegar, because 30% blood sugar, that's a big difference.
Maybe before pasta too. So maybe before we go to an Italian restaurant, just like down some ACV.
I mean, a lot of kitchens even have it. I feel like if you even ask the kitchen,
can I have a shot of apple cider vinegar? $20.
Yeah. No, they usually just give it to you.
I know, they should.
You could just be like me and take it in your purse. I carry coconut aminos in my purse if I'm going to sushi. I am like that girl. I will pull it out.
I make my own ponzu. I take coconut amino, so it's gluten-free, and then I add rice vinegar and a little bit of citrus, and I go to the sushi restaurant with that most of the time. Yeah. If I know I'm going to a sushi restaurant.
Yeah,
so you can't really do that if it's on the fly. I don't carry it in my purse at all times.
It's not like Tabasco.
Allison and I are both from Houston, which is why I kind of thought, the crescent roll. I think that's a Southern thing, or is that a Texas thing? You know what I mean? The old school container, and it's kind of by the milk in the grocery store section. You go whack, and you hit this side of the table, and it pops, and then you roll them up, and you put them in the oven. And now we know, those are really, anything that comes in that type of exploding can is probably not good for you.
No, I mean, I didn't grow up with that, because my grandma was very much so like a baker.
Good
and
for her.
So we grew up with drop biscuits. She would just make her own. I know. We used to love it when we went to someone's house and they had the whack one, the Pillsbury one. We thought, because those were sweet, for some reason you could eat a ton of those.
Of course they're sweeter, because they're dumped with sugar and chemicals.
Yeah, my grandma's biscuit, you could only have one, and you would be full. It's so dense that I can have 8 of those and be like, can I have another one? Because it's filled with sugar.
It's filled with sugar.
Yeah.
Filled with sugar.
Allison goes, I have a few things I want to talk about, and she sent me some notes.
Yes.
And I have no idea what these this was Allison creative Broadway mind Cliff Notes that she put on here. Just eggplant, moussaka, and cookies.
Lots of these.
What's the deal with eggplant is tricky.
Is this a funny holiday story? Or is this just a holiday health swap?
No, this was just a health swap that I was thinking I would want to do this year, because lately we've been doing Thanksgiving with my family. My aunt and uncle own a fishing resort in the Ozarks. And so we go there for Thanksgiving for a few days. And so then we've been doing Christmas with Matthew's family, who's in Jersey and very Italian. And so there's always eggplant parm. The food is delish, but there's always an eggplant. There's always an eggplant parm situation. And I was thinking, I was like, I want to change this up just to add a little flavor to it, or give them kind of an option to bring something for Thanksgiving that's more vegetarian forward or plant-based forward, because that Matthew's entire family, we're pretty much on the plant-based train, less meat at least, not vegan, but plant-based.
Italians on the meat train? Never met one. I know. Never met one.
I think I kind of, I don't know. I might have had some slight influence, but
But you're not 100% plant-based. You're just more sustainability conscious. You're more nutrition conscious. You choose wisely. You think about your food. And I think that's the best that we can ask of anybody. Yeah. It's not about hard and fast rules all the time. Yep. It's about making better, more conscious choices.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. I'm not an all or nothing type gal, although I haven't had meat other than fish in many, many years, and probably won't go back, only because it just doesn't feel good in my body. And I don't crave
good
it.
for you.
You got to listen to your body. I always say what works for you won't work for someone else. And listening to your, if you don't feel good doing anything, a workout, some people are like, oh, I hate this because it hurts. Don't do that workout. Change your workout.
Exactly.
Like, I do think you have to listen to your body when it comes to the food, with mega food industry that we have and how dirty it is. You have to take into account what feels good in your body. So I agree.
Yeah. And I don't believe I really do think everyone's so different. I think it goes back to even like hereditary. What did your ancestors eat? What did your family eat? What did your grandmother eat? Why was her metabolism the way that it was? And how did that impact your metabolism? Because you were part of your grandmother's, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I've been really into kind of going down that rabbit hole, because I'm like, why don't I crave meat? And I do think I am a very firm believer in the how, not the cow, and a lot of like kind of to like wrap it all up, you know. But the one thing was, I was like, how do I incorporate more eggplant and more like kind of fall flavors? And I actually went over to Alice Barrett Mitchell, who plays, if you watch Heelz, who plays Jack's mother, Carol Spade, and she made me this vegetarian eggplant moussaka, and it had so many flavors, like the cinnamon and like the cumin. I was like, this would be a really, really good, delicious holiday swap for like, just to add in a little bit more Thanksgiving flavor, because we always bring something that's more vegetarian.
It's like a Greek lasagna.
It's like yeah, pretty much, but there's no pasta in it. It's like there was like eggplants, lentils.
Yeah. So instead of pasta, yeah. So have you ever had a vegetarian pasta that is like layered with eggplant and zucchini? Usually, I feel like that's the go-to for vegetarian lasagnas, right? It's kind of like a layered casserole, like a lasagna, but it's a pastry crust, not a pasta, right?
This particular recipe did not have a pastry. It didn't have any crust. That's why I kind of loved it. And I think a lot of traditional moussakas have like a bakma. How do you say that?
Bechamel.
Like that bechamel
Yeah.
kind of like cheese on top. We didn't even do that. And it was delicious. It's got like, I think it called for pine nuts. We didn't have pine nuts at the moment, so we used walnuts, and it's got like currants. We could use golden raisins.
It's very Mediterranean.
It was just a very, very delicious flavor. When you had said holiday swaps, I was like, oh, that reminds me, it was a reminder to also that I wanted to do that this holiday. You reminded me. So I was reminding you to remind me that I wanted to do that this holiday season.
So
now we're talking about it.
The eggplant swap is going to be in the moussaka?
The swap would be that over like if we needed to bring a vegetarian meal, I was like, oh, a good party meal would be moussaka.
Casserole.
Got it.
Like anytime that I'm entertaining 12 people, which happens a lot during the holidays. Also, like, I love to host. I'm social. Like, Allison came to both of our apartment house like multiple times, and we are always happy to have a bunch of people over. And I will always, with that type of, if I have a whole weekend with that type of size of group, I will mix some form of lasagna, casserole, something, because, you know, you put in the work to layer it in the pan, and then you just stick it in for 45 minutes, and it's kind of like an eat at your leisure, and everybody takes as much as you can have, a small piece of it.
Yeah.
It's a very family friendly. And like, what I do is I do a gluten-free, dairy-free lasagna, and I use chicken and turkey as opposed to meat.
Like sausage?
I use chicken and turkey sausage. I use ground turkey, and then I use chicken sausage.
I was like, my lasagna has to have a sausage in it.
Yeah, I use sausage, but I use two types of sausages, but they're both chicken. I use a mild Italian, and I use a spicy Italian. So that way it's not too spicy, but it's got a little, it's kind of like, it's like a sweet and a spicy chicken. And then I use ground turkeys because some people don't eat red meat. Yeah. And some people that maybe are not huge meat eaters would come in and go, I don't know about a lasagna. Like, I'm not down for pork sausage and ground beef, but it's a bit more approachable and amenable to people of all appetites if you're sticking with the chicken and turkey. Because maybe even like, I know you say you eat mostly fish, but someone in a similar category of Allison might be like, you know, I never eat chicken and turkey at home, but it's the holidays, and I might have a little piece of this because it's not steak. It's not like dripping red blood.
Yeah. I did a shells with this butcher by my house. He makes his own sausage seasoning. He like makes his own sausages, and you gotta go at a certain day on Wednesday because he sells out by all the moms.
Of course he does.
We'll go Wednesday after school because by 6 he's sold out. And have hoarded some and freeze them, but I make a shells dish with them with the red sauce with goat cheese. And my husband hates goat cheese, and he doesn't hate it because
I tell him, I'm going to trick him.
I tell him it was Pecorino Romano, which is a sheep, which is it's sheep, which is what he can, which is what he does like. My husband's dairy free, gluten free, all the things free. Yep. And I put the goat cheese in the shell, but on the bottom of the big shell of the, you see those?
And it kind of bakes in the sausage, probably coats it
with the red sauce. Yeah. And then when he's eating it, he's like, oh, I love Pecorino Romano. And now he's like,
you tricked me. He's going to be like, Cassandra put you up to this.
Yeah, I think goat cheese.
Because I talk about tricking him all the time because I have every single substitute for cow cheese under the sun. I like me and the cheese section at Whole Foods were like this.
The cashew cheese is a good one.
The cashew cheeses are good. You have to be careful with the non-cheese cheeses because a lot of times they have fillers. They've gotten a lot better.
Oil.
Yeah, or potato starch or even like chemicals sometimes. That's true. And I feel like if you can get a clean animal product, it is better than a chemical laden, filler laden, like fake cheese. But
for sure,
it kind of depends on the product. It depends what's accessible to you. Where, like, what does your market have? But buffalo mozzarella, goat, and sheep, I know every single variety. I know what works with what dish. It's kind of a thing of mine. It's one of my party tricks.
I know. I just got some honey goat. It's like honey goat cheese for a cheese board that I'm doing on Sunday. And I cracked it open myself and had a few slices.
By the spoon?
Are you kidding me? I put it on like a little rice cracker with a little salami. And I was like, this is yum.
You put tamales on here. Is that a Texas thing? Because tamales at
I was going to ask you that.
That's an LA thing. My family makes tamales. Every Christmas.
I mean, I think it's Texas. We're both from Houston. You're from California.
Yeah.
Mexico is right
We live in
there.
California now. I consider myself very like Mexico friendly adjacent. I love that Texas and California celebrate the merging of the two cultures. Yes. I mean, nothing makes me happier than when Los Rams mariachi comes on at the Rams game. I get so fired up. Like I love Tex-Mex. I love Baja Mexican food. I don't discriminate. It's just like when I'm in California, I eat Baja. When I'm in Texas, I eat, Tex-Mex. And tamales are a big thing during the holidays.
We make it New Year's here, though. In LA, it's very Mexican, and they make it New Year's.
I think it's more Christmas in Texas.
I feel like it's like Christmas Eve. Yeah. We always did it Christmas Eve. That was like tradition Christmas Eve. But I've heard of New Year's. I've heard of New Year's Eve as well. But yeah, we always did it on Christmas Eve. Was like we also had a lot of people come over, so we would order from like the lady, that we have bought tamales from since we were since I was a child. Oh, they were so good. That tradition kind of died, but that's why I put that on there. I was going to ask you if y'all did that.
My aunt makes them every New Year's, and she makes a batch for my best friend, Annie. Hi, Annie. Her mother-in-law, who I've known since I was in kindergarten, her mom makes them, and I'm like child to her, like, can you make me some for New Year's? And she does pork, beef, chicken. I don't know if you can make a tamale good and healthy.
I think okay. You know what? This is something I wanted to say.
And the lard, you need the lard.
Well, but you could use bacon if you get a super clean bacon. You could use bacon fat instead.
But it's the masa.
But that's cornmeal. But you don't need like canned Crisco. You could do this with like a.
Could you use like a ghee? Or a ghee situation?
I think you have to use. I think you have to use an animal product. Yeah. I don't think it would work.
It'd be too wet. It wouldn't.
Well, okay. So this is going to bring me to my next point, though. This is something that that's been on my mind a lot, especially with Halloween and candy swaps and just the holidays, because sometimes. Especially like my mom, but like people in general will be like, can you just relax on the nutrition? Like, can we live a little? Can you just have it's just a little, it's just a little, it's just a little. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just a little here and it's just a little there and it's just a little there and it's just a little here. And like when you come home with a Halloween bucket, like my daughter still has Halloween in her bucket from last year.
I throw hers out.
I swap out hers. And actually this year I got a bunch of like fun Halloween fidgets and tattoos and stickers and stamps. So it's just not all candy, but I do get her candy, but I get the Unreal candies and I get the Yum Earth and I get the Smart Sweets and they're just much cleaner versions of candy. But my point is especially during the holidays, You go to a bunch of social occasions, you go hang with your family, you go to work parties, you go to a bunch of functions where it's just a little, just a little, just a little. And all of a sudden it's February and you're like, I feel like shit. Yeah. Because you are just a littling every other day, especially during the holiday season. Throughout the year, but especially during the holiday season, you're doing just a little all the time. So what I was going to say for holiday swaps and just sort of, our discussion, our advice, because I feel like, people are always saying, well, I just don't want to skip this dinner. I don't want to skip this party. But I think it's about making tiny, tiny improvements, because if you're eating a little bit less of the sweets, a little bit less of the cake, you should still have some of the cake, but maybe cut the slice in half, because you think that it's not making a difference. You sit there, and some of the psychology behind this is, well, I'm celebrating, I'm having cake anyway, it's on my plate, I guess I'll just eat the whole thing. I guess I'll just have my cheat day. I guess I'll just break my dietary routine because of this. But if you do that 36 times over the course of a 3-4 month holiday season, then all of a sudden, all of that adds up. And I'm not just talking about calories. This is never just about weight. This is about inflammation, and this is about the chemicals that you're putting in your body. This is about the way that you are training your brain to eat, and the way that you are training your appetite and your regular diet. I think that the best thing that you can do to truly enjoy your holiday season is to have the things that you want to have. Celebrate with the people you want to celebrate with. But look at what you're putting in your body and going, can I dial back on this? For example, you're making a margarita. Can I use 1 teaspoon of sugar instead of 2?
Yeah, I think
that's what we did today with the Cointreau. We used half of the Cointreau because of the sweetness.
I think with holiday parties and holiday season coming up, I look at the week. I'm a week girl. Monday to Sunday. What am I doing? We do this. Well, I can't drink on Tuesday because I'm drinking on Thursday. Or like, you try to map out your days. And I think I do that with parties where I know food is happening, and right now it's about to get busy. I will sometimes eat before I go to a party if I know who that person is throwing the party. I know it's gonna be Domino's, and it's their version of a holiday party. I am not eating that shit. So instead, I will eat before I go, and then the chips and salsa is going to be, there's going to be a charcuterie there.
If you're hungry, you dive into the chips and salsa.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you have agency over your food choice. Just because it's in front of you doesn't mean you have to eat it.
I also think that is a huge one. I will always be like, okay, well, where am I going? Who do I think is cooking? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to go over to your house, Cassandra, I'm probably going to go hungry. I will definitely look at that. I'll look at where I'm going a bit. And if I'm going someplace that I know isn't going to have great options, I will I'll be a great guest and just bring something.
This is for me, but also for you.
But like, I'm bringing this just to have another option for whoever.
That's such a great tip. Because I have always heard, and I usually go by my, 80-20. I'm going to have a little bit of this, but I'm going to save most of my stomach space for something nutritious and something healthy. And I feel like you definitely mostly go by the method of like, all right, these are my days and whatever. But that is an excellent option and an excellent tip. Like, bring something as a host gift that that even if everybody's like, oh, what's that weird, funky, leafy green stuff? Like, you're willing to eat it though, and you're still participating in the ritual of making a plate with everybody.
Yeah.
And you can make it fun and people will love it. Like, and most people will, I think most people too want the healthy option there, especially at a holiday party. Most people want it.
It's like here in LA, I feel like if you put out a cheese board with 3 different types of, with 1 different type of non-dairy cheese and goat cheese, that's very normal in LA. Like, I go to people's houses.
There's never cow cheese on mine. It's either goat, sheep, or I do the vegan cheese as well.
I do both, because some people,
I never tell people.
I never know. But goat cheddar, my husband, whenever he tastes, and I've tricked him with the goat cheddar, he is not on board. He can taste it. So
I feel like I've tricked him before.
He's anti-dairy, all the things. So, but I do, if I'm throwing like a big something with someone, I'm always like, look, he's 72. This man is going to go straight for that. I'm not going to not have it there. I'm like, I already know he's going to cuss me out if I don't have it. He's like, sure, yeah, don't fucking do this shit to me. I'm fucking dying in 10 years. Give me the cheese I want. And I'm like, okay. So I do a half and half. So I have a legit mac and cheese that I make that is legit mac and cheese. Like it's
old school,
old
fluorescent
school.
orange.
Well, no, I use real cheeses. I
good.
use real cheeses, organic cheeses, and it's not, I don't use Velveeta, or I know that I've seen on Instagram, like people use weird shit. I use 100% cheddar. I do a little bit of, it's cheddar, it's smoked Gouda, it's the real one with the red on top. I forget that one. But anyways, I do that. And then I also do a very dairy-free one. Sheep, I mean,
it's not vegan, but no, because it doesn't have the
because it
same
has
type
sheep.
of casein. No, it's not vegan, but
know
it's not dairy
vegan.
because it doesn't come from a cow.
Right, it's sheep.
So I will say that the issue is you go to one party like that and it's, oh, but it's only one party. It's only one party. You can have mac and cheese tonight because it's only one party. It's like, wait a minute, but I have 12 holiday parties on my calendar. So this is the whole, what I'm saying is it's just a little, or you can splurge one night. Sure, you can. And you can have some of that mac and cheese, but I'm talking about like, instead of making a whole plate of it, maybe just have a little serving and then fill the rest of your plate with other stuff that might be more nutritious that you're not going to feel like crap the next
I'm all
morning.
for a taste. I'm a taster girl. I'm like, I'll have a taste of that.
Yeah.
I like a taste too. And I try to get in the mindset, and my best friend Judy is the queen of this and she's a trainer, and she focuses a lot on prenatal, postnatal, macro counting and all the good stuff. But her main thing that she tells people all the time, especially around holidays, is 80-20. Like if you're going to beat yourself up about the fact that your food doesn't digest as well, if you feel guilty about it, but, and you're constantly thinking about it, that's not good for your body. I mean, anxiety is just as bad for your body as anything else. I am somebody that will I'm not obsessive, but I will definitely feel really, I'll be like, why did I eat that? Like, I didn't even like that. Or I didn't, especially if I'm at a party and I'm a little hungrier than normal. And I've got munchies and I'm like, I'm just going to eat this, Yeah. So one of my party tricks is I always have a water bottle. And I usually drink a big thing of water before I start, because then I'm not as hungry and I'm not.
Well, a lot of times people think they are hungry when they're thirsty.
Yeah, that's true.
Your stomach's empty. I always say drink. When my daughter, she's a snack queen. She's always like, can I have a snack? I'm like, drink some water. And then I'm like, you want a snack? She'll be like, no, because you're actually thirsty. So I agree with that. A big 8-ounce glass of water, 12-ounce glass of water before you start your meal is probably, you need it anyways.
But then if you're hungry, you just eat. Right? Like,
but
you're eating the appropriate amount.
Yeah. But I'll try to because I want to try things. And that was one of my big things when I kind of first was going. Again, I didn't eat a lot of meat growing up. My whole family ate meat, but I had 3 brothers. My parents, the meat that mainly was the main meat in our family because of money and everything else was chicken. We'd always make fun of my mom and be like, oh, chicken again. I'm like, oh, we were such assholes. She's like, yeah, it's the cheap, it's what we can afford.
Well, it's also super lean and high in protein. And it's actually a pretty good option.
Yeah.
pretty versatile.
I didn't even even when I was a kiddo, I didn't really crave it that much. But then I liked the structure that whenever I was like, well, you know what, I'm kind of more plant forward and Mediterranean style more than anything. Yeah. Because if I wasn't, then I would eat any dessert. If there was a sweet, I would have, especially doing shows. Anytime it's somebody's birthday, they buy a cake, you sing happy birthday. And then I would, it's intermission. I'm like, I got to get through second act. I would go get another piece of cake. So then whenever I decided to go plant-based, it cut out pretty much everything, unless there was one vegan chick that had a birthday and they would have cake. So I kind of feel like just having the little bit of structure of not eating dairy or only doing sheep or only that helps me, especially because I love desserts. I
think the world loves a good sugar, man. A good sugar can. Wait, really quick about the 80-20 rule. Have you guys ever heard about this? How a girl, we're all married. So you marry your husband because he's 80% there. And then there's 20% of things that you would change. This is psychology. This is real science right here. Yes.
I don't know if I have 20% of things I want to change.
Yeah, you totally do. So it's leaving the socks on the floor. It's shit like that. It's
my husband's very tidy.
Well, okay, so it's like
I'm the one that leaves the sauce.
Okay, so not being able to load a dishwasher, going to the grocery store and forgetting things. It can be very minute. No one is 100% all invested in anyone except children. And this is psychology.
You mean you love your children or your children love you?
No. I mean, so the 80-20 rule in psychology is like this. As humans, and we're women humans. So as women humans.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah. Well, because whoever's listening, I don't know, look, shit's going down these days. So as women.
You're women humans.
Yes. Women humans, we birth a child, right? So that's our action. The man helps. You can't have a child without sperm. So it's like we birth them. So when we create that canal of love, we're 100% invested in that kid. Like we may not they're crying, whatever, but you're invested.
Right. You don't want to change 20% of your kid.
No, not at all. So it's like, but when you meet someone who you didn't birth, that you're falling in love with.
20% of things I want to change about my husband.
For sure.
The only thing that I think I would change about my husband, sorry, Stephen, is that he goes to bed so early. He goes to bed before our daughter goes to bed. And it's frustrating.
So that's
because he goes to bed at 8 p.m.
That's a
and I'm always responsible for bedtime, which is fine because he gets up with her and it's great. It's an amazing exchange. But there's definitely days where I'm like, could you maybe just stay awake until she goes to bed? Because we're really struggling to get time together this week. We get lots of alone time together. So it's not like, we go on trips together and a lot of times we'll go away for, an event or something without them. And so it's not that we don't get time together. It's just that I'm talking about the day-to-day at home, whatever. Yeah. I a lot of times just want to be like, can we watch a movie or a Netflix show?
And he's like, you would change.
I'm out.
That's
like 2% of our lives.
But no one is 100% all, because we're people and we come from two different households, two different backgrounds. We were raised differently.
20% is high is my point.
Is not
20% is high. It's high.
You guys were raised by two different parents. You have two different structures. The reason why most couples are in therapy and or should, in my opinion, be in therapy is because of that 20% difference, which can eat into the 80% if you don't take care of it. And I'm going to tell you why. Psychologists say, this is not Sherry on talking, this is the psychologist talking. Psychologists say the reason why women and men cheat is because of the 20%, 80-20 rule. When you feel like what you were neglected as a child, your spouse does not give you, you seek that little neglect that your parents did in any way out in another person. If you're not disciplined, I'm not saying any of us do this. I'm saying that 80-20 rule exists because it keeps us all fucking humble.
I feel like you read a textbook before we did this podcast.
I think it makes sense to me because I will say that it also boils down to efficiency, I think. And how, again, it's upbringing and how your household worked and how your family dynamic worked. And one is not better than the other, but that is one of the main things I've learned in marriage and through the pandemic, because we spent the first 2 months of lockdown living with my brother and his girlfriend at the time. And it was interesting because I was like, I could see the way that my brother would sometimes talk to his girlfriend at the time. And I'd be like, oh, that might kind of be jarring to her how direct and efficient it was. But to me, it was like music to my ear. It was like, oh, cool. I got you. I know how to, and we kind of all cohabitated really, really well together. But I understood, sometimes when I get the tone, I love the word. It's always the tone.
Always
right?
the tone.
When I get the tone, I'm like, I'm just being as efficient and clear as possible. But I realized I was like, no, that is a tone to him because it's not the tone that he heard, or it reminds him of a tone that he heard that I never heard growing up. And it's all about that. And I think it makes sense. I don't have a child yet, but I have heard every one of my friends who's a mother say like, oh, it changed your life. You don't understand unconditional love until you are a parent and until you have children. I always think, okay, take what you got from your family, all the greatest things that you love about your family. And then where people I think fall short is stopping there and being like, this is the best, this is how it works. Instead of being like, oh, maybe I don't need that tone. Maybe I don't need to be as efficient when I'm speaking. Like maybe just the way that I think that most efficient way of speaking isn't, because it kind of sounds hurtful or snarky.
Yeah.
We're
Abrasive.
dry.
Yeah.
I feel like
Abrasive.
abrasive
It's
is
the
a good
tone.
word.
Look, I have a tone too, and I think
We all have a
that's-
tone.
Yeah, but that's the reason why that could be irritating to your spouse. But that's the reason why I feel like you divorce people and you don't ever divorce your children. The 80-20 rule is the reason why you can say, you know what, I'm done with you.
Your 20% is you're out.
Your 20% became 30, became 50, now became 60 if you don't work on it, because averages can change in a marriage. If you don't work on it, it can get too heavy, too much, and then you're like, you know what, I'm done, which is why you divorce humans, adults divorce. You do not divorce your child. If your child's going through a rough time, drugs, whatever, you freaking you will climb that Mount Kilimanjaro for your kid. That's my 80-20 rule. Spiel. I'm done.
Well, on that note, I think we have to wrap it up. I feel like that's about an hour. Like, this is a good one. This was a lengthy discussion, but like a good one.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Alison Luff, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Season 2 of Heelz is going to be coming out on STARZ.
When? Is there a date?
I don't know, probably next year. I don't know if we have a date yet, but you know.
Probably in the beginning of next year. That's like
So we're looking into 2023 lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know,
the first quarter,
we're
2023.
we're almost going on our own little hiatus break. So, you know.
I know.
Not yet. Not yet. We got a couple more episodes.
We got a couple more episodes, but yeah.
Alison Luff, thank you for joining us and
Thank
sharing
you.
your vantage point on nutrition. I love it.
Love it.
And I'm excited. Let me know how that eggplant moussaka goes.
I will.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, ladies. I can't wait to try this cocktail recipe.
Oh, it's going to be good. We're going to
I mean,
post
mine's almost gone. I saved just enough
for the cheers.
Okay.
Farewell
We're
cheers.
twins. You take your chlorophyll.
Yeah,
Where's your
you can-
chlorophyll?
Yes, thanks,
Cheers.
ladies.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week on Team Tequila Talks.
This is really good.